Yeah, hey, I just love that intro. That intro. We're so glad that you're here for Drinks with Dee Dee.
And John.
And John. Yep, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here. So people have been asking me, especially, they've been asking me, what is going on with your hair? Well, I've wondered what was going on with my hair for my entire life. I always thought that I looked like Bozo, the world's most famous clown. But we're doing a new show. We're doing a show called, it's not the Dukes of Hazzard. We spoke about this before. This is a show that is called, it's a family name in Kentucky, the Earls, who happen to live in Perry County, Kentucky. So it's called the Earls of Perry. And what do I play?
You're the new version of Uncle Jesse.
And how is that different than the old version?
Because you're the crazy old uncle. You're the crazy uncle that still wants to jump everything in cars or golf carts or skateboards or whatever it is. You want to do that.
Okay. Right.
So everybody's like, oh my gosh, Uncle, whatever your name is, I will not tell, but you're the crazy uncle there. And the kids are the same one.
My name is Jackson.
The kids,
they call me Stonewall.
Of course it is.
How great is that?
And the kids are trying to keep you in line, so that's kind of the reverse.
It's a little different. It's not me trying to keep the cousins in line. It's the cousins trying to keep me in line, and it's going to be great. I've not finished writing the first couple of episodes yet. I'm we've been doing a lot of things with the motorhome, with travel, with Louisiana,
stuff to do.
Yeah, and then again with Louisiana.
So let's talk about Indiana.
But that'll be done. But we're going to shoot it on location, which is what's so great. We never actually shot get this. What is the county seat of Perry County, Kentucky?
Hazard.
It is.
It's a real hazard. And there's a different number of Z's with the real hazard.
One Z. So I'm sorry, Brothers Warner. I tried to buy it. I had friends try to buy it for decades.
We're going to make our own version.
Yeah, we're going to make our own version.
Amazing.
And it's what we call Southern horsepower family comedy. So it is going to be a family. It is going to be a family show. It's going to be very much like the Dukes. After we went to California, because I don't know if you remember this or not, if you even know this or not, but when we started Dukes, it was an 8:00 show, 8:00 on Friday night. And way back when, before the world lost its mind, we had a thing on all network television called Standards and Practices. So Standards and Practices dictated what you could and could not do after a certain time on any given night. So when we went from a 9:00 show, which was what the first 5 episodes of Dukes of Hazzard were, that's when things were said like, I said to Daisy, if you weren't my cousin, I'd marry you. And she said, well, that has never stopped anybody in this family before. So we didn't say things like that once we got to California and once we became an 8:00 show. So this is going to be more of an 8:00 show, and that's largely because, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel that let's go to our white shot, because I want to have a real conversation about this. I feel that the kind of base and sexual and they kind of have done it, calling it like where the television is more open or television is more, I don't know. They seem to have tried to table it as if television being more, in my opinion, gross. The language is bad, the subject matter is bad, as somehow we've evolved into something better. But I miss, yes, we saw Barbara Eden's belly button in the first season of I Dream of Jeannie, but I miss that. I miss the Beverly Hillbillies. I miss Petticoat Junction. What do you feel? Do you think television has gotten better because it's cast a broader net?
No,
I think it's gotten worse.
I think it's gotten worse because they're just wanting to fill so many channels and they're just like grabbing up everything. So the quality's not there because they don't have the writers that they had. Dukes of Hazzard had incredible writers, incredible stunt people, and incredible actors. Where now they just throw something at the wall just to fill because there are so many channels. Where before it was 3 channels, so I think the quality was way better. And that is why you have parents having their children watch once a week the Dukes of Hazzard. And whenever there are little kids that will come up to John and say, oh, I love the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm Bo Duke. So even little kids like it. So no, I think the quality has diminished. Yeah. Back in the day, I think it was better. And, you know, and I love, like TCM, I love the black and white movies. So
oh, yeah.
And may we say that we're here at Hanover College, my alma mater.
That's where we are, by the way. We're at Hanover College, right?
Here.
Because, you know, we've been traveling around. So we couldn't do this. Tony the Tiger, we love you. We know you're out there.
He's an
In fact, watch this. Here's a rim shot from Tony the Tiger. Got it. But we're here. But yeah, I think that having come from being on television in a 3-network world, it used to be that people understood that a specific television show was for a specific audience. But nowadays, it seems like
it's a mixed bag.
They're trying to be all things to all
everybody, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot be all things to all people. As my dad would have said, that if everybody agrees with you, you're lying to somebody. So when I first started my first E-Trade store, they said, you know, if you love dogs, or if your product is dogs, it's better to have your product be dogs than animals, because animals is too broad. Dogs gets it down a little bit. But why don't you do big dogs? You'll do better if you do big dogs, or do small dogs. And they said, believe it or not, the very best thing you can do as far as business goes on your eBay store is to go with me here. They'll say you will be shocked if you hand make sweaters for 3-legged Shelties, you'll have a better business, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there with 3-legged Shelties.
Oh my gosh.
My mom had it was a 4-legged Sheltie. But what we used to know is the more specific, the more we whittled down the audience, the more appreciated by that audience the show would be, but also the more people would watch it. And then you'd have some casual interest about people that say, what is this Dukes of Hazzard thing? And they'd watch it and they'd go, oh, wow, well, I love cars, so I love this show. Or they go, wow, I love Moonshine, or I love the short shorts, which they weren't, by the way. The short shorts that Daisy wore were not the ones that Jessica Simpson wore. So Jessica Simpson, in my mind, will never be Daisy. She'll be somebody who wanted to be Daisy and missed the mark by far. Catherine Bach, as far as I'm concerned, is the only Daisy ever.
And we're going to see them again soon. She's great. Tom as well.
That's right. When is this? This is going to air this week, by the way. We're doing this podcast this week, which is great. So we'll see Tom and Catherine Sunday. So I can't wait. I love to see them.
And this is our first podcast of autumn. First podcast in the season. And I'm going to go back to being a...
Is that why you're wearing autumn color?
Yes. That's why I look like a pumpkin, because it's autumn. And I love Halloween.
You don't look like a pumpkin.
And I sort of do. That's okay. I can live with that.
I look like a Q-tip. You look like a pumpkin.
But being in Hanover is so much fun for me, because I went to school here. I have a history degree. And I love history. And that's why I was sharing earlier about, you know, if it's too broad, nobody really loves it. So I think you're right. John's right about, you know, it being kind of a niche. And TCM is something I love. I love the old movies. They're
classic movies.
Yes. The even turn of the century. I love silent movies, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I love all of those. Mm-hmm. So there's something about that. And I think the old movies are better because you had to have dialogue, because they were not superhero movies. And even with Dukes of Hazzard, you were crashing cars, which is fabulous. But when you have all green screen, and I'm not against it, but there's something about those black and white movie dialogue that I just love it.
Story-driven.
I just love it, yeah.
They were story-driven, I think, largely because a lot of the folks that wrote those shows, wrote those movies, and a lot of the folks, oddly enough, that wrote Dukes of Hazzard, that wrote Wagon Train, that wrote Gunsmoke. Now, Dukes was not a radio show in the golden age of radio, like Dragnet or like Gunsmoke or like Have Gun Will Travel or Paladin.
But you still didn't do green screen, did you?
Well, no, there was no green screen. We did a little fun stuff with. I'll talk about that in a minute.
But I got
but wait.
You told me with the car.
It's so hard to stay on track.
Let me finish this part though, because you said you would just stick logs underneath the car and do this, and you and Luke are like going like up and down, and it looked good. I mean, it was just this simple thing that you would just.
We had a screen behind us. It wasn't green screen. We had a screen behind us that was like, if these were moving, they had a video like it. Well, it wasn't even video. It was film.
But it looked great.
Yeah, it looked great. And we had, what was my point?
I'm sorry. That happens all the time.
Well, why does that happen all the time? Why do you think
organic.
It's not organic. You just jumped in there. It's hard for it to go. So... Wait, please. What did they say? Talk to the hand. I'm not really saying that to you. Who did that?
That's okay.
Say that's a rabbit trail.
That
was the nanny, I think. Fran did that.
Talk to the hand.
But the people that wrote Dukes of Hazzard came from radio.
I didn't know that.
Cy Averback, Cy, not Coleman, but Cy. The folks that did the Dukes of Hazzard on the writing staff had come from radio.
That's why they were so good.
Well, it's why they were so good, but it's also why the syndicate always showed up. You notice that these guys would show up in Hazard County. What a bunch of hicks, they would say, and they'd show up, and of course we would mess up their day because we were inherently honest. We weren't crime fighters, but in that world we were more the Green Hornet and the Lone Ranger than we were the Beverly Hillbillies. So when later on when we did a reunion movie, and it was written more like we were the Beverly Hillbillies, where we went to Hollywood and we were kind of a fish out of water. Somehow the folks that wrote that had lost track, and I think they were the same folks, which is odd to me. But I just watched Daisy's song. We watched it because Bill is in it. Bill Gribble is in it.
It was great.
Bill Gribble is in it. But that's where people were pirating. They took one of Daisy's songs. She paid $50. They recorded it, and she never saw any money from it.
They made a ton of cash.
They made money. They had somebody that sounded like Jessie Coulter sing her song. But my point being that when we were to go to Atlanta, when Bo and Luke were going to Atlanta, Uncle Jesse said, "Now, boys, make sure you don't take care of them city folk just because they don't know any better." So the attitude of the Dukes of Hazzard was always that the country folk were inherently smarter because we had to deal with weather, we had to deal with flooding, we had to deal with crops, we had to deal with all these things. So we were inherently more intelligent than the folks in the city. So Uncle Jesse made sure that we didn't take advantage of them. And I think that's one of the great things about Dukes of Hazzard. But when we came back later and we did the show about Dukes Go to Hollywood, we in the original script, we had built a fire. We were cooking a rabbit, I think, or a squirrel or something underneath the Hollywood sign because we didn't know any better. But Tom and I, Wopat, we said, this dude, we just don't want to all of a sudden play Bo and Luke as stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a dog. That means that this segment.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted to know why John's phone goes off. It's because we want to.
This is our timer. This is our timer, so we know when we should get done with this particular subject. But quickly, Tom and I talked about it. So we wound up making it so that we built the fire so that the police would be called because we were looking for Enos. Enos was part of the LAPD. So that the police would be called so that he, knowing that he would be so country smart, that he would know if somebody was dumb enough to build a fire up by the Hollywood sign, that it had to be us. So he knew that it was us sending him a...
That's funny because there's like maybe 6,000 cops in L.A., but that's cute. Then you would think...
Well, yeah, but in the...
Enos would figure that out.
Well, but in the world of L.A., all the 6,000 cops knew each other, which is not really quite possible, but they all knew to tell Enos. And I think you can stretch the truth that far.
But it seems like nobody liked that.
So all this hair is because on the Earls of Perry, which I'm not sure when we're going to film, but it's either going to be a month from now or 3 months from now. But I need to be ready to film it. And this is, sorry, I'm hitting my microphone. This is what I'm going to look like.
You're Bo Duke as an uncle.
No, I'm a new guy because Warner Brothers owns Bo Duke. I am not Bo Duke as an uncle.
Your name, but it will be you in spirit.
My name is Stonewall.
It'll be you in spirit, though.
Right.
You were the.
We're gonna do a little test with you guys to find out what you want my name to be. My name is Jackson Earl, but they call me Stonewall because during a dirt track race, to avoid hitting a rookie head on, I veered off to the right coming into turn 2. I went over the stone wall and landed next to a hot dog stand.
That's great.
But
that's great.
Yeah, it's great. But do they call me Stonewall because of that, or do they call my car Stonewall because of that?
We love to hear.
Because the car is going to be either General Stonewall or General Jackson. Now, if my car, which is going to be a Mopar, and it may be orange, I'm kind of thinking it will be, can't call my car and me the same thing. So I'd love to find out from you. Should the car be called Stonewall and I be called Uncle Jackson? Or should I be called Uncle Stonewall and the car be called the General Jackson? These are the things that keep me up at night. They are. These are the things that keep me up.
But it'll be a great show. It'll be fun.
Okay, people want to know what you're going to do with your hats. And by the way, talk about the hat you're wearing right now.
Oh, so this hat, it was Paul Sorvino's hat, my late husband, and he played Tevye, and so did John. Tevye.
Not at the same time.
Yeah.
In Fiddler on the Roof.
Sunset.
Yes.
Sunrise.
So this is the hat that Paul Sorvino wore.
Yes.
When he played Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes. And John played Fiddler on the Roof when he was in grade school or high school.
I played Tevye in middle school, which we have in New York. I was 13, and that was the 8th grade. And one of my castmates in Fiddler on the Roof at Fox Lane Middle School was Ari Fleischer.
That's great. What did he play?
Dee Dee worked. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I was at 13. The world revolved around me.
Of course.
And at 64, sometimes it still does.
It still does.
No, not really. We're not here for us. I believe we're here to help other people thrive. I think we're here to help other people smile and laugh and get through it. And we have to believe that someone else is here to help us do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you and Ari went to the same school.
We did. How great is that?
Mm-hmm.
And Roger Stone and my brother went to the same school.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. It's a small world. It is.
And both Bruce and Caitlyn Jenner were born in the same hospital that I was born in.
Gosh. Well, that's good to know.
Excuse me. And Michael Eisner.
Mm-hmm.
And Gavin McLeod from Love Boat. It's pretty cool. So anyway, we're talking about Dee Dee's hats. People are saying, what's we love your hats. And some people say, what's up with the hats? Well, you know what? It's very simple. If you don't like what you see on this podcast, you know what you do? Don't watch it. Go away. Go bother somebody else because we're having a good time.
But to be fair, most people are very fair.
Am I not fair?
No, you were very fair.
They're not. Some people
aren't.
Okay.
But most are lovely and and some people are saying, I love it. I hope you help bring hats back to fashion. Because back in the day, and I think it's because I have a history degree and I love the black and white movies, they all wore hats. So it's that as well as the fact that I had skin cancer and they had to cut up my hairline. So I needed to wear hats because it didn't look so good. As well as the fact that it helps you not get cancer if you cover up. So that's how it started because
I'm on the other side of that argument.
That's how it happened because I had skin cancer. Well, you can take the sun. I'm fair complected. So I burn easily. I get skin cancer easily. So that's how the hat thing started. And then I love it. So I wear hats every day. So I've got a lot of hats. John's seen my hat collection. And he cannot believe how many
I've seen her hat. I don't know that I would call it a collection. But I had my Hot Wheels cars all in a row, and I couldn't possibly put my shoes like this I couldn't sleep if my shoes were like that. So I would call yours a hat cacophony. Is that a word?
I don't think it's the right word. Try again.
A hat smorgasbord? No.
Work, but I think you could do better. Try again.
You know a Cobb salad? You cut it all up into little pieces and you kind of toss it. Her hats are a hat Cobb salad.
I think it's a hat extravaganza.
They are a hat extravaganza.
It's a hat extravaganza.
Okay. So what happened here in Madison, we're in Madison, Indiana right now. Beautiful, beautiful town. Wonderful town. 130. I've heard, it's kind of like how many illegal aliens we have. Is it 10 million or 22 million? I'm really not sure. So I'm not sure how many contiguous, no, not in Madison. How many contiguous blocks?
133.
133. Okay. So 133 contiguous blocks
Of historic landmarks.
Historic landmarks.
The only one in the country, just so you know. I just want to make sure we got it right.
You want to make sure I got it right?
Well, yeah, because you were talking about illegal aliens, and it had nothing to do with the 133 blocks of contiguous landmark of Hanover. We're in Hanover now, but just so you all know, Hanover is at the top of the hill, and Madison is at the bottom on the river, and it's all a big community. So it works together. It really is
beautiful. It truly is.
Hanover is beautiful, the campus, and so is Madison.
Oh yeah, yeah. These are some pictures.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's if you grew up in a small town like I did. I grew up in Mount Kisco, New York, and also Bedford and Katona. They were three little towns. Mount Kisco is a village. Bedford is a village. Katona is a village.
So did you think they were all kind of communities put together?
I thought of it as just one place. I'd take the bus at 6 years old and put a nickel in the thing and go to Katona. But this place is so what I remember as a child. But what's funny is people say, "Wow, what do you think of the small town?" I say, "Dude, this is so much bigger than the town I grew up in." But it reminds me of it. The Mount Kisco Theater and all the great restaurants and all the going to school there was fantastic. But this place has so many great stores, especially down in downtown Madison. And one of them, before we met, she and Paul had bought it was a haberdashery. Can't spell it, but I think I said it right. So it's 3-story men's store in downtown Madison, Indiana. And
there's an upper deck, and there's a basement, and there's a roof, so it's almost like 5 levels, like a cake.
Right. But what had happened is when, my understanding of it is when COVID hit, they had a place in New York, they had a place in Los Angeles, and they wanted to go to a place that had not yet lost its mind. And I don't think Madison is ever going to lose its mind.
Never.
Because it has wonderful community and wonderful mayor, Bob. Thank you.
Mayor Bob Courtney, we love him.
Mayor Bob. So they brought everything to this one building, which is a substantial building, but people moved all this stuff into the substantial building when they were gone. So we are now trying to sort through all of this stuff, and it's kind of like I'll talk in a minute after the dog barks. I'll talk about what it was like in Louisiana with the flooding. But people who had the greatest intentions were putting all the stuff into their haberdashery, and then they just left it. You could tell that the people who packed all of this stuff and the people who put it on these really basically 3 main floors never intended to unpack it. So there's 2 or 3 hats in every box. There's 2 or 3 there's vitamin C in every box. There may be a book in every box, some Band-Aids, a scarf. It's just a
statue and a pool cue.
It's a statue and a pool cue and a Walkman or something. That's what we're dealing with right now.
It's crazy. Every box is nuts.
But Paul did this amazing artwork, bronze. Some of them are this tall. Some of them are taller than me. And there's this one woman, this statue that's like this. It's a naked statue, so I keep getting my eye put out by her boob.
I can't believe you said that.
I did. I said that.
That's true.
But, so when we get the bottom floor cleared out, the statues are still going to be there. And on the head of every statue and on the arm of every statue will be a hat. Because many people last week said, you should have a hat store. So immediately she thought, well, we'll start making hats and we'll do that. Well, I tell you what, we don't need to make any hats. We have a lot of hats.
That's true.
So why don't you bless people? But not that hat, because that's Paul hat.
Yeah, this hat stays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can maybe even give it. Someone suggested, actually, one of our viewers, that we give away a hat every show. I would do that. I think it'd be kind of fun. And bring the hat.
Do that? How does that actually look? How do you give away a hat?
I don't know. We bring the hat, and then maybe on Facebook, whoever claims it or whoever has the best story, we just pick who gets it. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're going to read 47,000 stories every week to figure out who has the best story, so they can get out.
I would love to hear about
happen.
Yes, well, I would love to hear about the hat stories. I love hats. The hat stories will be fun.
I love hat stories too, but I think it'd be better to have a hat store
where
people came and they bought a hat.
Yeah, we should do. And that was
the only way you could ever give anything away is you have to do it randomly. Sorry to be so stern about this, but I figured this out.
Well, you have a store, so we can do it with your store, with our store. Why not? We could do a hat.
The online.
We can do a hat giveaway every week.
Yeah, but based on what?
I don't know. You figure it out.
First, I don't want. I already figured it out. We'll sell you a hat.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
The pencil and a pen. That's from the pajama game. In case
figure it out.
No. We're going to figure out something with the hats, but I do think we're going to have a hat store right on Main Street.
Business.
Main Street in downtown Madison, Indiana.
See, I think
which will be
a good way to start. We can give away the old hats or however we want to do that. But I like the thought of berets with fun little sayings on it. Some people do that already, but we can do it better. Berets with sayings. Like, go for it, or...
Well, look at that. We're out of time. We can't talk about the hats anymore. Berets with sayings?
Yes. No, those
are talking about.
That would be awesome. Like, you could have a beret with O1, hello. You have the caps with O1.
So somewhere in your mind...
Beret, O1, the women would love it.
Somewhere in your mind, all the berets have already been separated, and we're going to have those embroidered?
Yes.
I've not seen one beret.
I have a million berets. What are you talking about?
Where?
In our place.
Where? In a box somewhere, in a bag somewhere, under a box?
I'm sure everywhere.
That's the problem. They're everywhere.
No, but I'm
just think we're going to figure out ways to sell you a hat. Her hats are great. They are mostly vintage. They're mostly vintage hats, but not something like that Paul wore.
No.
And I hope something that you all have noticed is that we talk about Paul. What? Who let the dogs out? Oh, I'm going to pay for that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pay for it. I'll give you a beret. Wait a minute. Let's figure this out. Why is it doing that? I've got too many of these going on here now. But we talk about Paul. We talk about Alicia all the time. So one of the questions that when we toast, open up a great bottle of wine. I'm going to do it. You ready? Open up a great bottle of wine. We always toast to A and P, Alicia and Paul, every time. So I don't know about you,
but that's not the only toast. You and
no, it's A and P and you and me, and but
generally and victory
and
RV,
and, death to your
golf cart,
that golf cart.
Because you rode in your golf cart today.
I did. I rode in I sat in my golf cart.
Oh, that's true. It's true.
Didi got me an orange golf cart. Imagine that. And we're going to run around while we're shooting the Earls of Perry. That'll be, the director, Uncle Crazy, me, my official golf cart. But we immediately called, or I texted our buddy Tony, who did all of the great airbrush stuff at JSS, at John Snyder Studios. He's going to come out and he's going to do a front and rear and maybe a little chrome around the wheel wells treatment to my brand new golf cart. And I think that's going to be great. We'll let you know when that's going to happen. Check out the Facebook page because Tony is great. And if you want a T-shirt done, you have something else you want to have done, like a racing helmet or something, he really, truly is the best. He even does birdhouses. which I think
Where did that come from?
from Tony. He just came up with it. I don't know. He
I like birds.
He's great. We call him Airbrush Tony. But one of the questions people ask, because this show started out as the morning show, not as in the morning, but the morning as in dealing with the morning of loss show. And had a lot of people, it's interesting, early on my road, people would say, John, this is really bad. This may kill you. You need to figure this out. You need to move on. Well, I don't think you move on. I think you move through, and I think you learn to carry the grief. But it also gets, for me, it turns more into a celebration about that person, and you start to see where they were rather than where they're not. But I bring it up because in the beginning, people actually, I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically people were saying, it's time you got over this. Which, pardon me, Tony, you're going to have to bleep some of this out. It's bullshit. You don't get over it. You don't get over that. But then we met, and then not the same people, but then a new crowd showed up and said, well, that was quick. Well, number one, who are you? And number two is how long am I supposed to, or how long are you who lost your spouse, how long is enough time for you to wake up in the morning and be upset that you didn't die in your sleep? I'm very dramatic. I don't know if you felt that way or not, but I did. Or how soon is too soon to wake up in the morning and not wish you had died in your sleep? So one of the books I read early on said that, people, well-meaning people will say the stupidest things. So if you're on the road of grief, did you experience any of this? Did you have, what did your, there's a fan base, but then there are friends, and then there are relatives, and they all seem to have a different perspective on it. And everybody seems to be an expert on it, even though very few of them, I've had some people in my life that have lost a spouse, and their opinion matters greatly to me. But don't come up to me and say, I understand because I lost Fluffy the Cocker Spaniel, and I love that dog as much as I've loved anybody. I tell you what your opinion means to me? Nothing. Please say something so I'll stop offending Fluffy the Cocker Spaniel. I've had people say that to me.
I actually
have with you.
All positive things to say, because when I lost Paul, I was totally devastated because what a wonderful man, and I just was done. I'm never did I think I'd meet someone else, because I thought, well, I'll just work and fill my time. And the thing that I love about Madison is that I would go by myself. I'd sit at the bar, I'd sit in a restaurant, and I was always alone because I was alone. And everyone would pull me up. I was never alone there because everybody was so sweet. So anyway, that's why I have a real love for this area.
Right.
Because I was alone everywhere I went, and I just had no interest or desire to be with anyone, and I knew that nothing would ever happen. And then this one came along, and it happened. And I don't think I could ever be with someone who had not lost a spouse, because it's hard to understand that and be lopsided. It would, the yin yang wouldn't be there. So
unequally yoked.
Yeah, and it's tough,
biblically speaking.
But John has gotten a very hard time for some reason, and I think it's because he wrote the letters for a year, and we met during that, and people don't understand, and it's really, they should, I think, give John grace and just say, well, we understand, we love you, and we didn't experience it, but we hope the best for you. But instead, John's gotten a lot of grief about it, more grief over the grief. But I never did. With Paul, everyone was very supportive, and they knew I went through a terrible time, and I was just devastated. And then I met John, and they were happy for me. But unfortunately, with John, he's been dealing with something a little harder. I think people are good now, but in the beginning, people didn't want you to be with someone else. I just don't understand. Maybe it's because you're a celebrity. Maybe it's because of the letters, and people were surprised. Well, I'm not sure, but I think people...
Nobody was more surprised than me.
But I think people need to be understanding and loving. I mean, look, any time in my life before losing Paul, if someone found someone new after their spouse died, I was like, oh, thank goodness. That's wonderful that you're not alone, that you're not sad, that you're not crying anymore, that you don't want to die anymore. That's good news. I mean, why would anyone... I don't understand is why would anyone think it's negative to have more love? I just don't understand it. I didn't get any negative feedback, but unfortunately, John did. And you do a little bit now, but I think people are understanding.
It's not a lot, but there are people out there. They're just people out there.
Yeah, though. Why wouldn't people be happy for you? I don't understand it.
Well, the people that are least happy for me are the people that I'm no longer paying for. And that that what does that tell you?
But bottom line is, it's good if you can find love after loss. How wonderful! And all of you, don't
worry, I'm gonna rephrase that. Because I don't think you find love because you're not looking for it. I think love finds you. I really do. I really, really, really believe that God is up to something that we are part of. And it's not about us. We're not up to something that God is part of. So if God's busy little bees down here, which I think are you and I think are me and I think they're you as well, because no matter who you are or where you are, God made you. This is what I believe. God made you because there's something he needs to get done that only you can do. So he designed you wonderfully and magically and mysteriously so that you could do it. So if I remember when Alicia got sick the second time, she said to me, and she was a big believer in God, but she was not a big believer in the devil. And she said, we're onto something here. And the devil is going to try to stop it. But he's not going to come after you. And this was remarkable because she was, I don't believe in the devil. I believe in the devil because I believe it's only the darkness that lets you know where the light is. That's a whole other story. But she said, I believe he is going to come after you and not after me because, he's going to come after me and not after you because he's going to use me to knock the legs out from under you. And as I look back on that statement, I think, my God, that's a bold statement. That's an amazing statement. But that is, I believe, exactly what happened. Because I was not remotely interested in a relationship, in holding another hand. Certainly not in wearing another ring. That was not going to happen. In fact, the first time we met each other, we both agreed that the notion of meeting somebody else was, what's the word? Repulsive. So, and when we met, I was doing The Masked Singer, which oddly enough was a show that who was going to do?
Paul.
Yeah.
And then he got too sick and he died, but he was asked to do it. He was offered. It was done. It was done deal. Paul Sorvino was on The Masked Singer.
Wonderful tenor. Wonderful tenor. Might have been the same show. Might have been the same season. I don't know. But there are people out there, and you know who you are, that then watch The Masked Singer, because The Masked Singer is not live. The Masked Singer was like 3 months. We shot it, and then 3 months later, it aired. I hope I didn't blow the magic for anybody or just in breach of some sort of contract there. But it's remarkable what they do. We have no idea who is on the show, even though we're on the show with them. So it's completely above board. What you hear is us singing through the mics that are there, live. It's fantastic.
But honey, I think you should expand with people about how they keep you in a dark room, or they keep you.
They keep you sequestered away.
They keep you sequestered, and they really don't know anything.
But yes, but my point is, there are people out there that watch The Masked Singer 3 months of healing later, who heard me talking about my smile. The Masked Singer for me was all about Alicia. And when I did that show, it hurt. Talk about Shakespearean. Here's a guy dressed as a donut, sequestered away in a black felt room, sitting on a bar stool because it's the only way I could sit. I had to sit like this.
It's a huge costume.
Oh my God! The mouth of the donut was where my eyes were. So all of that. But the timing was that when I did that, that was 3 months before these people saw it. So these people saw it, and that was 3 months into, after we had met, after we'd been repulsed by the notion of a relationship, after we had kind of poked and prodded at each other, and then found out, I think you're kind of cool. I think this is kind of fun. I can laugh again. That's what she did for me. She made it so it was okay for me to laugh again. And you know what I did for her? I made it okay that she could cry again. Because I find that a lot of strong women are like, no, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. So we did that for each other. But then people saw the Masked Singer, and people on the inside who knew that this was happening had the audacity to say, well, then what you said on the Masked Singer was insincere. What an actor. You all out there in Facebook land don't know the half of it. Well, I tell you what. The person that said that is a despicable human being. And I hope that all the things that despicable human beings get come to you, come to your front door. And I'm very familiar with that front door. In fact, why don't it come, thank God, why doesn't it come to your back door? We have one more segment.
Well, just if I may add to that, grief is different for everyone. So I think everyone out there should give people grace because everyone handles it differently. And it's a very difficult time in life. In my opinion, death is the most difficult part of life, especially if it's your spouse. But it's difficult for anyone. A mother, a brother.
For those who are left behind. For those who are left behind. So
I think we should try not to judge how people handle it because it's so difficult and hurtful.
Yeah, I don't think you should try. I think you just shouldn't. Don't judge it. If you don't understand it, and if you've lost a spouse, then there's no way you could be anything but supportive of someone else who has. Now, if you haven't, if you lost Fluffy the Cocker Spaniel, and you want to talk to me about how that relates to me losing my spouse, just don't speak. Don't speak, because the more you talk, the dumber you're going to look. Okay, what would you like to talk about now? This is up to you. No, I can't whistle that either.
That's okay.
Merle Griffin's estate.
So today, I think this is interesting. So today, in Madison, it was a tornado warning. And the siren is right by our place, so it's super duper loud. It's like World War II, like the sirens.
Oh, like get into the shelter.
Yeah. Very, very loud. So, John, so John had not been here before for that. And I was on the top floor, and he was on the bottom floor. And I was like, okay, this is the first tornado warning. And, of course, on your phone, it goes off, and it's a whole thing. And John is used to hurricanes. So I thought it was kind of fascinating how with the tornado, it comes. I mean, it's there. You got to get to the basement, or you have to be aware, and it's right there.
I don't even know where the basement is. I'm assuming it's down, but I don't know where the door is.
It's in Louisiana.
It's probably blocked by a box of hats.
In Louisiana, it's below sea level, so I guess you don't have basements there, do you? Do you even have basements?
No.
Okay.
We call those swimming pools. Indoor.
But John has been through 2 hurricanes, maybe more, but he had flooding, and it's coming. It's still, I'm sure, difficult to deal with, but it's coming. So now I've kind of learned about how hurricanes work, and when you live through them and you board everything up and you have to deal with the water. But with a tornado, it's on. It's on right there. So today that made me think about the difference between tornadoes and hurricanes.
It reminded me of growing up in Mount Kisco, New York, because we had bomb shelter like drills. But we also have the noon whistle. Do you have a noon whistle here?
No, I don't think so.
No, you don't have the noon whistle?
No.
Mount Kisco, we had the noon whistle. And then in school, we would do a fire drill, but we'd do a bomb shelter drill.
Stop, drop, and roll?
Back in the, you'd go into your desk and put your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. Did I say that? I did. But we had to do things like that.
No, what is stop, drop, and roll? When is that stop, drop, and roll?
If you're on fire.
If you're on fire, I'm an idiot. Okay. So, but yeah, you would just cover up.
Stranger danger.
Oh, right. Or like, I remember in grade school, at the school, you'd have to get on your knees like this, and you'd put your head towards the wall for when the tornado was coming through, or the tornado warning. But you're talking about
I
it.
only put my head towards the wall when I had to wear the dunce cap and sit in the corner.
But you're talking about like if there was a nuclear bomb, right?
Yeah, a little thing like that.
Like you get underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah, if World War III was starting, which, hey, it could.
Well, good. But I think we know now that getting under your desk is not going to be terribly helpful. So it's better not to have World War III.
I think that's just so they could identify the one.
So, yeah, God. Yeah, better not to have World War III.
No, better not to have that.
Better not to have it because that's...
Speaking of that, November is coming.
That's right.
You've got to vote. Okay, one of the most disturbing things I have heard, and you didn't hear this, but I told you, one of the most disturbing things I heard in the last 2 weeks was that the two demographics that are least likely to take the time to go vote are Christians, and I think that may be because, we figure we've got it all. What are you doing?
Nothing.
Okay. We figure we've got it all under control, because we know God, we love God, God knows us, we know where we're going. Well, guess what? Until we get there, we have responsibilities here. So if you're a Christian and you cannot find the time to vote, but you can find the time to go to Bible study on Wednesday, I urge you to reconsider and go vote. We must vote this year. Of course, everybody says, well, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Well, yes, we've said that, but I think it's arguable that we are truly living in the most unusual, most volatile times, both militarily and politically, than we have lived, at least in my 64 years. Okay, so that's my perspective on it. If you're a Christian and you're concerned about your country, for God's sake and your country's sake and your children's sake, vote. The second demographic, which blows my mind, but it kind of makes sense because they're a very secure demographic. Don't worry. If the fit hits the shan, see what I did there? We've got it under control. These are gun owners. So if you are concerned about your Second Amendment rights, if you think there is a body politic that may be coming against your Second Amendment rights, then I urge you, more than urge you, I beg you to get yourself to the polls and vote in November or earlier if you can. I think we're going to vote. We travel around a lot. There's an opportunity to vote earlier. But for God's sake and all that's holy, if you are a Christian or a gun owner and you're concerned about your Second Amendment rights, then vote.
And we're coming up on early voting because the election, I believe, is November 5th. So October 5th, in most states, you can vote for a month. But we're going to try to vote on the day because I think it's very, I don't know, it just feels good to vote on election day. And I always take a paper ballot. I don't like those machines. I don't trust the machines. I would trust them more in Madison, Indiana. I'm not too concerned about it here, but in other places I am. But I just like a traditional paper ballot. So that's what I do and like to go on election day. But I'm also going to question John's poll. I do not believe that gun owners don't vote, and I don't believe that Christians don't vote. I don't believe it. I don't know what that poll was, but I think it's not true. I think both of those demographics, you think gun owners don't vote? I know they do. I think they're the best voters in the world, so I don't think that's a good poll. I think the gun owners and Christians totally vote, but let's just make sure that you vote and make sure that on election day or the before, if you can, vote absentee, go to the courthouse or sign the paper if you're going to be in Europe or something.
Because
just do it.
This isn't even really it's not even a political conversation. I don't believe it's a political statement. If I was running for class president and I did everything I could in my little group that was helping me run for class president, made it so that we wanted so that people from other schools, people that didn't go to this school, could vote for me for class president, what would that tell you? It would tell me I don't have enough support in my school, so I have to go out here and try to grab other people who can support me from outside. Well, these people are, everybody's consequential, certainly, but in my school, at Fox Lane, it doesn't matter what the people from John Jay think about the leadership in Fox Lane. And conversely, it doesn't matter in John Jay what the people in Fox Lane care about over there. We have no right to vote in some other high schools, to vote for some other person in some other high school for class president. Then why in the world does it make any sense to you that that's even an argument? Number one, okay.
What is your point?
Well, my point is the world has lost its mind.
I know,
but it doesn't seem to know it.
No, but you're saying people are voting that shouldn't vote. What are you talking about?
I'm saying that there's a group that are saying that illegal aliens, people who have no green card, people who have no green card who are not citizens of the United States,
no way,
should be able to vote for president or governor or dog catcher.
No way.
Right.
No way.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
I can't even comprehend that.
So people who are in favor of that, and believe it or not, in some states, the people who are in favor of that are winning. I think, I may be wrong about this too, but I think in Arizona, they just said that people who were, because they expunged the voter rolls and got rid of like 600,000, they are now allowing, I don't know, 800,000 illegal immigrants to the state of Arizona to vote.
They're not Americans. They can't vote.
But they are, just because it doesn't make sense. Here we are, America. Give me a close-up. Just because I don't see the light. I saw the light. Just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean it's not happening. Okay? Just because things are happening, like there are things happening in the world, in the Olympics. There are things happening that make you go, what in the ever-loving world is going on? I put it up to you that some of these things are happening so that you will not participate in the process. That things have gone so haywire that there's nothing that little you or little me or little Dee Dee can possibly do to sway it back into the area of common sense. If you feel that way, then they have won. Now, you know how I'm going to vote. Everybody knows how I'm going to vote. But really, truly, I don't care how you vote. I just want you to vote. I want a real number. I want people who have a license. I want people who are citizens of this country. And I want people who realize we do live in the single greatest country the world has ever known, and we want to keep it that way. And whatever that definition is for you, I don't care. I want it to be fair. I want it to be free. And I cannot believe that somebody who wants people who don't live here, who got here illegally, to be able to vote for dog catcher or president, I cannot believe that they are above board. I just can't.
You know, when we go to get our driver's license or a passport, it's involved. It's not easy. You have to take a utility bill. And then these people just show up and vote. I'm sorry, but it's not fair.
You can't get a beer without a license.
There were races. It has nothing to do with that. Enough already with that. That is just BS. And it's about being an American, and think about these people from Romania, from Great Britain, from, these other countries that work very hard to become citizens, and they take a test that a lot of Americans couldn't pass. And then other people get here for nothing and free, and they're giving money. It's just not fair. It's not right. It should be a meritocracy. It should be, if you're an American and you are proud of your country, you should want only Americans to vote, not people that are not American. They're not American. I'm sorry.
Voting is a right. It's a duty. It's an obligation. And it's a gift. So participate in it. If you've been given the gift, don't buy into, and I hope I haven't helped you think this way. Don't buy into, we've got somewhere between 12 and 21 million illegal folks who are coming in, and they're probably going to get to vote, so why should I? Well, I'll tell you why should I, because you have a country to save. You have a country to save for you. You have a country to save for your children. You have a country to save for your grandchildren. So don't sit idly by while whoever they are, trick us into not participating, into doing what is, like I said, our duty, our right, and our obligation.
And it's not even in a hateful or a bad spirit. It is being...
I'm not going to go to Venezuela and vote.
I know, of course not. Of course we're not. I'm not going to Canada.
We got 30 seconds. That's it.
Canada's fabulous, but I'm not a Canadian. I'm not going to go vote there. I mean, this is common sense. This is about being a patriotic American. So we support one another. We love one another. We love our country. So Americans should vote in America, and Canadians should vote in Canada, and Mexicans should vote in Mexico. That's all.
Be a conversation.
It's very easy.
You know.
It's all good. It's all good. USA, USA.
Yeah. I don't think guys should get in a boxing ring with women.
No.
I just don't.
Boom.
Oh, wow. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, we so hope you enjoyed this. We enjoyed it. Thank you to Hanover College and all the great people here. We sure appreciate
Eric
it.
Otten.
Yeah, Eric.
You're awesome.
Thank you, Madison, Indiana. Thank you, United States of America. This has
Mayor
been
Bob Courtney.
and Mayor Bob Courtney. Drinks with Dee Dee.
And John.
Yep.
Love you. Give me a kiss.
All right.
See you next time.
You take care. We'll see you next week. Hope you enjoyed it. Write in some questions, topics you want us to cover, and we would be delighted to destroy them for you. Bye.
Bye.